And the transfer portal moves quick now. It's not like high school recruiting now. It moves quick. They could call you today and say, hey, I need you to visit Friday. Or I need you to come Tuesday, being there today, Saturday. So the transfer portal moves quick. They can bring you in and then they'll be like, I need to bring somebody else in.
Exactly.
And then you thinking you're going to get something and you don't get nothing.
Welcome to Recruiting from the Bleachers. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and today we're going to be joined by the legendary South Carolina Future originator, Joe Gilbert, and I want to welcome him to our podcast for today. Looking for a lot of insight, a lot of information that will be shared here today. So we're really excited to have you. So, Mr. Joe Gilbert, welcome.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Let's get to it.
About the transfer portal. Let's go ahead and say, okay, our child has gotten a scholarship and they're at their university and they've been there now for one semester or one season, if you will, of playing college basketball, be it Division II, Division III, or NAIA or Division I basketball. And they've played that year, and now all of a sudden you're hearing this thing now about the transfer portal. And we'll dig more into it when we come back together in a few episodes from now. But talk a little bit about what you've seen, Joe, in reference to the transfer portal and how it's becoming a bigger factor and why it's becoming a bigger factor in the world that we see in college basketball now.
And I think the transfer portal has become a bigger factor now is because of the win now mentality of these college coaches.
Yeah.
They don't have the 3 and 4 year deals like to build a roster
Yeah.
and just like, okay, develop a kid, you got time to wait on a kid.
Yeah.
You better get you some kids that can play right now or you may be out of there.
Exactly.
I think me and Coach Johnson talked about this where some of the coaches when Jordan and Malia was playing are now on the big Power 5 stage, coaching. So those coaches are like, they're different now, and then you see them, they're like, hey, they're looking for the bigger kid now. So it's like that transfer report is different. And I shared with you this week, one of our kids that's transferring from a D2 school. And I'm like, why are you transferring? Could you have, and we had more conversations after I shared that with you. And she's just like, Coach, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It wasn't a good situation. Well, I really don't know if it was a good situation or not. But I wanted her to see, before you transfer, you need to have something out there. Because I think as of maybe yesterday, it might have been 1,000 girls in there already.
And it's only been a week.
It's only been a week. I think the boys was like 1,500, if I'm not mistaken. It's crazy. And you know what I'm saying? Just for somebody to tell you, man, you need to get up out of there. You need to get up out of there. You better be careful when you talk about putting your name in the transfer portal.
Right.
You can't just like say, I'm just going in transfer portal. Because, you can get some schools, but you might find a school way out there in Nevada, Missouri,
Montana,
North Dakota. You ain't going way out there. So you kind of stuck it out in the loom. You don't have anything. And like I said, these coaches are trying to win now. They don't have time to sit around and wait on, development of some of these kids. They'll take 3 or 4 kids and they'll put their, time into and developing. But the rest of them, they need to become ready-made. And now it's not like when Jordan Malia was playing, like, the college coaches, they were getting high school kids. That's what they wanted. They could have time to develop kids. That's when you had the 30, 35 coaches around the baselines watching these kids. Now they're jumping, from court to court. And I think me and Staley talked about this last week. I think the boys has gotten rid of the first viewing period. They don't have a viewing period, I think, till May now. Yeah, because of the transfer portal. A lot of coaches want to get, everything they can in this first transfer portal when the season is over with. So they don't really have time to go out and recruit. I'm thinking the girls may eventually go to that too because it takes it's a lot of money going out that first viewing period and you don't have a lot of coaches there.
Really?
Yeah, I think the coaches have, some, they may come for 1 or 2 days and then they're out of there.
Okay.
They may come for that Saturday and gone. They don't even come back that Sunday. Right. So I think it's a kind of a waste as far as on the girl side, as far as parents are spending money to go to these viewing periods. And, not a lot of coaches are there. But granted, we're thankfully we're on the Under Armour circuit now. All three tournaments last year were really great, attended by a good bit of coaches. But I think some of the independents, like I took the 15U to Tennessee last year. It was so. I'm just being honest. It really
Wow.
did,
So not a
So
lot of coaches showed.
no, not a lot of coaches. You have a lot of D3, D2 coaches, but D1 and the mid majors, they're not really out there like that. They're at the shoe circuit tournaments.
So elaborate on the shoe circuit for us, so parents will know what that
The shoe
is.
the, the shoe circuit is like the Under Armours, the Adidas, the Pumas,
Right.
the Nikes. Those tournaments. And this is something me and Coach Johnson and we had this long conversation, and he was like, "Coach, we got to get up on this something. We can't just stay independent no more if we want our kids in school." You see a lot of organizations now, they getting connected to something. Boys Eye, you got Puma, you got Adidas, and what we're in is called the Arise, which is it's not the big Under Armour, but it's the next level Under Armour.
Okay.
Circuit, and you get to play in the gym with the big girls, and you're going to play one game against the big girls. So it's an eye-opening experience, and parents can see what the difference is between a mid-major and a Power 5 kid.
And we'll dig into mid-major and Power Fives, and we'll dig into that on later episodes. But I want to make sure we help parents understand this transfer portal and just my opinion on the transfer portal. Sometimes in life, you're going to end up working a job that you don't like, or you may like the job but don't like the coworkers, or you may like the job, you like the coworkers but don't like the manager. There are times when you need to stay put because you need to pay your bills and you need to work through tough situations, and you have to develop, and our children have to develop to the point where they can have conversations with tough management and understand that management's point of view and be able to express their point of view as well and see if they can come to some common ground. I think what the transfer portal is allowing people to do is run from challenging situations when in actuality, life itself is challenging.
I
So
think I
go
think
ahead.
that's 85% of the time.
Yeah.
They just running from challenges.
Yeah.
I look at the ESPN today, and you see the kid from St. John's. I think when Patino benched him the last few minutes of the game, he got upset. So he
Yeah.
said he's either going to the league or he's going to in the transfer portal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's just coaches holding these kids accountable,
Right.
and we as parents need to hold them accountable too.
Exactly.
You just can't up and leave your job tomorrow because something isn't you don't like it. You got to tough it out. I had a conversation with one of the kids, and I should say I'm in tune with a lot of my college kids. If it's not me, it's Coach Johnson. We always talking to our kids that's in college, and we tell them all the time, you better sit down. You better stop. I'm very blunt with them. Stay. If that coach is not just being blank mean to you, you better stay.
Thank
You I mean, just stay patient. Something as good is going to come to out of this.
Right.
She like, Coach, I don't know if I want to stay. Yeah, stay. If you hear in the horn, stay, because it's man, it's tough out here. And I
Exactly.
think I agree totally with you. 85% of this is just coaches just holding these kids accountable.
Right.
And they don't want to be held accountable. Oh man, he's just not giving me no playing time. Nobody. If you don't get 15 minutes, I'm out of here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or
And,
or
and
or they're upset because a senior is challenging them and they're underclassmen, but the senior is challenging you. Well, the senior is challenging you because they don't want to lose their time. This is it for them. So they're going to play on your emotions to a degree and make you feel small and make you feel like you don't belong when they actually know that you're better than them,
they feel like
that
you're a threat to them.
you're a threat. And they don't like that. And children our teenagers have to understand that that's the way things are played sometimes. That's corporate America too. That is corporate America. Sometimes you get people who'll try to be underhanded. College is an opportunity to learn how to deal with people and how to handle people. So that transfer portal is, in my opinion, giving children an out to not deal with challenges. So, I think personally that you have to be willing to stick it and stay. And again, like you said, Joe, if that coach is not just being just outright mean and nasty to you, you need to stay put. And I want to bring this up too for parents to make sure they understand and don't forget the number one goal is to get the degree.
That's number one goal.
That's what it all boils down to. You know, we want the scholarship so the children can go to school for free and let basketball take them there. But at the end of the day, it's not many Asia Wilsons out there. There's not many all the other young ladies who've gone to the WNBA. You know, your percentages of making it to the WNBA or even to play overseas is
Thing is,
small. It's small.
yeah, yeah, it's
So yeah, you have to pay attention to the number one goal. But go ahead, Joe.
yeah. I mean, you got to think what is 32 NBA teams?
Right.
How many WNBA teams? What, 15, 16?
15. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, your percentages are low, so you have to, try to grab that degree. And I think it's funny. We was talking. I think one kid I seen last week, she played with Stephen F. Austin. She had been to 5 different schools. Five
That's a
different
lot of
schools.
traveling.
That's a lot of traveling, and hopefully she got a degree. I hope.
Exactly. Exactly.
So after all that transferring and stuff, so but the ultimate goal is to get the degree and
Right.
utilize it in this world because I don't know, some are built to go cross seas and play in that another country.
And the South
Thankful,
Carolina Future has a player overseas right now,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Unique Drake. Unique
Yeah.
Drake. She's cross
St.
seas.
John.
She's I think
Mhm.
yeah, I think she played at St. John. She's in Italy right now. And she's doing well. I talked to her about a month and a half ago. She's jumping around. I think she's moved up. They got like different levels.
Okay. Okay.
So, we do it. I think Unique is built for that. She could do that. Like, she's a different one. Like she can really play and she can go cross seas and play. But
Right.
you have to be kind of built to go cross seas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the numbers in the WNBA. Hopefully those girls are fighting to get more teams
Right.
in the WNBA and they can get more. But the ultimate goal is to get a college
Get that
degree.
degree. You know, the transfer portal, in my opinion, has hurt that a little bit, you know, losing focus on getting the degree. Because one day the basketball will stop bouncing.
Yeah, yeah,
And you have to understand what's next for you. And I think as parents, we have to make sure that our children understand that life is it's a long period. You know, but you know, from the time you're born to 18 is minute. But the time that you finish college, you're what, 24, 23, 24, and you finish college. Now you've got the rest of your life. So if you don't play a sport for your livelihood, what's next?
right.
Where do you go next? And
Where
I
do you
think
go?
parents cannot forget to make sure that we're training these children to go, you know, if they don't go to the big leagues, then maybe they go to the boardroom. And how do they handle the boardroom? You can't just transfer because your
Yeah,
boss says something mean to you. You
right,
didn't turn
right,
in a report, and all of a sudden you're mad because you didn't turn the report in. You're mad because your boss is upset because he needed the report. He or she needed the report. So
right.
you have to be built to stick and stay
You're gonna have
and
to
be able to
answer to
tough it out.
somebody.
Exactly. Exactly. You'll have to answer to somebody at some point. So, Joe, one last thing about the transfer portal. If someone needs to transfer, how do they go about finding that next destination?
Mike is hard. Once you put your name in that portal, if you don't have good film, man, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. And and I was telling one of the kids this week, and I'm like, you have film, but you don't have enough. So when they go to Synergy and they put your name in that transfer portal and they pull stuff up, you don't know, and you gotta understand. You got kids like Tanaz and that just got in the portal from Florida State, the
Right.
girl from Ohio State. They trying to go get those kids first. You
Exactly.
might be a back burner, and the kid I share the information with you, God forbid, I don't know how she gonna have me pulling my hair out trying to help her try to find some for the
Yeah.
next couple of weeks.
Because, Joe, I've been in those rooms with the coaches, and they do have whiteboards. They
Yeah, they
still
do.
use them, and they rank players on that board. I have seen. I'll try to find and I'll share it with. Want to share it with this group, with this podcast. I do have a picture of a whiteboard of a college that we visited years ago, and they had people ranked on that whiteboard, and they had about 20 people for one position, point guard. 20 people.
Jeez.
So that's just them recruiting. I can only imagine now what happens when you add the transfer portal to the mix. All of a sudden, you're going from 20 to maybe 40 or 50 possibilities for that point guard position. Like you said, it's tough out there.
And the transfer portal moves quick now.
Quick.
It's not like high school recruiting now.
Yeah.
It moves quick. They could call you today and say, "Hey, I need you to visit Friday. Or I need you to come Tuesday." Being that the day Saturday. So the transfer portal moves quick. They can bring you in and then they be like, I need to bring somebody else in.
Exactly.
And then you thinking you're going to get something and you don't get nothing.
Right.
That's why, this is another situation we probably talk to later on. Like when they go to the business schools, you better show the college coach that you're very interested in them as well as they're interested in you. Because we had a situation one time where a kid didn't show interest on the visit and they didn't get the scholarship offer. Wow. So you have to.
It's a job interview.
It's a job interview. So, if they don't, when you come on that visit for that transfer portal, you think you're going to get that offer. We're going to look at this other kid, right? We might. Right. So you got to try to sell yourself in that situation, especially if you trying to go, you at a D2 level and you're trying to come out of a situation where you had nothing. So it's like I say, just prayerfully, we're going to hope and pray where we can get this kid in, another school. And I'm just going to tell her, like, hey, once you get to this school, sit.
Stick and stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stick and stay. Yeah. And I want to piggyback off of something that you just mentioned. When you go to these schools and you have a chance to work out for them, let's flash back to even your child is still in high school and they go to these camps. And when they go to these basketball camps, that's your opportunity to show out as well.
Right.
We had an experience at Furman University years ago, and my daughter did not want to go. But because Malia, your daughter, and others were going as well, she decided to go. And at the end of the camp, the head coach asked my daughter to stay around and to play some extra basketball with her team. And she actually made my daughter an offer right after that first game. So you have to be mindful that when you go to these camps, when these schools call you to work out, parents need to understand that this is an audition. This is a job interview, and you have to put your best foot forward.
Yeah, you have to, and that's another thing, when you were doing those workouts, man, you got to be busting it. Yeah. And that's, that's kind of how, like, me and Coach Johnson, our practices, you got to work hard. It's an interview. They want to see that they don't want to have to tell you in practice. You got, hey, push yourself. What's going on, it's kind of funny when Malia first got to school. I told Malia, I was like, Malia, they're gonna make you eat breakfast. Oh no. I don't eat no breakfast. We was down there in the tournament in Atlanta, FaceTime. I was like, me and Coach Harrison, I'm like, what's wrong with her? They making me eat breakfast like in the morning. Yeah, I told you that. Like it's a big jump from when you leave that high school level to college. It's different. It's like it's a lot of stuff that, you're going to have to be accountable for. You got to go to individual workouts. You got to go to team workouts. You got weightlifting. You got study hall. Your day is locked up as a college. So, and they're looking for if some people can handle that. Exactly. They can handle that. So
that wraps up another episode of Recruiting from the Bleachers. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and I appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to join us next week for another insightful conversation. Stay connected with us on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube at Recruiting from the Bleachers. Like, share, and follow to keep up with the latest updates. And don't hesitate to leave your comments and questions. We'd love to hear from you. For a deeper dive into the basketball recruiting process, check out our book, Basketball Recruiting, A Parent's Perspective, available now on Amazon.com. Parents, remember, from the bleachers to the big leagues, the boardroom, let's keep cheering and steering our student athletes towards success. We'll see you next time.